Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Grow Up. Welcome to our Star Trek Picard Episode 3 Thoughts video. Just finished watching the latest episode of Star Trek Picard, and I'm just going to be sharing my general thoughts on the episode. So in this episode, we see Picard goes to an old friend to try and get her help with this mission that he's been on of trying to track down Data's daughter. And so it doesn't really work out as well as I think he was planning, but it doesn't end up working out. He does get a pilot and a ship by the end of this episode, and also I guess a little bit of a crew because his friend Raffi decides to end up kind of joining him, but not. She's just hitching a ride apparently. But yeah, so this episode felt like not a whole lot happened. At least it was a lot of like I guess maybe character development's the best word for it, which also because we see a flashback of Picard's last day with Starfleet, and we see him, talking with Raffi then, and so we get to learn a little bit about what their relationship was before and what kind of caused it to become strained before we, hop to the present day and see him, Picard, explaining and trying to get her help with, finding a ship and a crew and so it was kind of interesting, but we spent more time with that than I thought, which was fine. It just didn't I was kind of expecting us to I guess already be on the mission, I guess, as opposed to having spent pretty much this whole episode him kind of meeting the pilot and then deciding he's gonna leave and then leaving. He leaves at the very end. I guess I'm just used to other shows and them being a little more fast paced than this, so it's not a bad thing. It's just observation. But yeah, so we did see his last day at Starfleet, and we got a little more context as to how that went down, which is they're still trying to propose a plan to be able to still save some people, but Starfleet was like, no. And Jean-Luc was like, well, I'll quit. And they're like, okay. And so that ends up, he resigned, and they end up firing Raffi as a kind of like consequence, I guess. And so that led to the tension between Picard and her, and we kind of see in this episode them kind of work through a little bit of it, but she still has this anger she talks about, especially since they've gone these 12 years, and Picard didn't once bother to check in on her. So it was interesting to kind of see that a little get that character development, I guess, between their relationship and see where the context of it. So yeah, we also meet the pilot in this episode, whose name I forgot to write down because I was distracted by the fact that his EMH, so that's the medical doctor hologram thing, or so emergency medical hologram, I believe is what that stands for. I'm guessing. I'm just throwing that out there. But is that it? So the pilot's EMH is himself, which was interesting, with a little bit of an accent. So that was kind of a funny little bit that they threw into this, and it was kind of interesting seeing himself doctoring himself a little bit around, especially being a little bit more of the psychologist end of it too. So that was just kind of a fun thing, but also slightly distracting for me, just because I was trying to figure out a little bit about this guy, and I got distracted by wait, what? Why did we make this choice? I was so focused on the doctor guy, or the EMH. I don't know why that's just struggling. It's because I want to see EMR or see a different thing like that. But anyways, so that was interesting to see that. I'm curious to see how that'll play out. And I don't know if I just maybe missed that in some of the posters or trailers already, that there were two of the pilot, but that was interesting. What else did we get in this one? Oh, we see one of the cool parts of this episode, probably my favorite part about this episode, was the action when Picard's house gets attacked. And we see, his couple housemates show that they can hold their own. And then they help take out the whole squad that comes into it. And the doctor comes out of nowhere. The doctor we met a couple episodes ago. The doctor... I'm so bad with all the names in this. I wish they would just make simple, slightly easier to remember, easier for me to pronounce at least names. But yeah, so we pretty much just spent this episode getting the squad together, getting the crew together that's going to be backing Picard up as he goes and tries to track down Data's daughter, who we did see a little bit in this episode. She seems to she's obviously not aware that she's an android, even though some of her abilities are kind of questionable or like bring up questions at least. And this episode explores a little bit of that. She gets accused by this fortune teller looking lady of being the destroyer, which I'm just like, that's interesting. Why is she the destroyer? Why? Okay, are you just gonna leave that thread out there for me? All right, that's a good thing we're only 3 episodes in. But so that was interesting, a little bit of an interesting bit. It's interesting we're only getting very small little bits with her, and which I guess makes sense. They're kind of saving it. It's funny that I do like that it's a slower pace. I'm just not used to it with just the way TV is done nowadays. It's just used to so much more happening, and that's just, it's an era of our short attention spans. But it's interesting to see this having such a, I don't want to say slow start, but a slower start compared to other TV shows that are come out recently. But yeah, so that's pretty much all my thoughts on this episode. Like I said, it was mostly all just spent him getting the crew together and kind of justifying why him and Raffi have got this tension, and kind of also showing why they can kind of maybe overcome it. But yeah, that's pretty much all my thoughts on this episode. Be sure to let me know in the comments below what you thought about this episode, and if there was any big important things that I maybe just missed. But yeah, anyways, thanks again for joining me today. Sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and have a good one.